Recently, there have been a ton of trade rumors regarding Bradley Beal and what his future looks like on the Washington Wizards. Today, I want to sit down and talk about what I think his future looks like and take a look at both perspectives. The perspective of Beal meant to do this or Beal wants to win. So, before I get too deep into that discussion, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy. Really helps us out a lot when you do that. Just hit the big red button. It's a pretty easy task to fulfill. I'd really appreciate it, and let's get into the video. So, Bradley Beal recently got, I don't want to say caught, but he was seen on camera kind of looking very sad and disappointed. It was in a loss to the Houston Rockets, the same team that just traded for his co-star for the past couple years. For most of his career, his co-star, and traded him away for Russell Westbrook, who, at the time, it looked like a pretty fair trade, and at the end of the day, there were a lot of injury concerns about John Wall and what his future looked like with his Achilles tear. Russ hasn't exactly been playing great recently, and it almost looked like he's on the decline, but that is for another video. Bradley Beal signed a 5-year contract in 2016. So it was a giant contract meant to keep Bradley Beal in Washington for that year and years to come after more extensions came on. Hopefully the Wizards were thinking, this will help us retain our superstar and we can start winning games. Not to say they weren't bad in 2016. They were above 500 in the 2 years prior. They'd made the playoffs. So they weren't like a bottom feeder. They weren't one of the worst teams in the NBA. They were a respectable organization who just locked up their superstar. Kind of like the same situation the Jazz are in right now. The Jazz just made the playoffs. They're a little bit better than the Wizards were, but they're a good team that just signed their star for the years to come. Then, after a couple years, the Wizards started to kind of fall apart. John Wall was getting injured. Bradley Beal was still putting up great numbers, and he averaged 30 points last season. But things weren't looking too bright. And then, Bradley Beal decides to sign another contract extension, his first contract extension with the Wizards, a 2-year extension. So, this happened last year, so it'll kick in after this year. So, this is the last year of his 5-year deal. And then his extension will start after this season, and he'll have 2 years. His second year of that extension is a player option, which I think plays a big role into what Bradley Beal is doing here and why he hasn't really lashed out against Wizards and been gone full James Harden and been, get me out of here, I hate it, I like to win, I don't want to lose. The other side of the argument is that Bradley Beal knew exactly what he was doing when he signed that contract. A lot of people like to say that Bradley Beal signed that contract for the money and not necessarily because he wanted to win. And I think there are a few flaws with that, but at the end of the day, we can't see inside his brain. Unless he explicitly tells us what he was thinking when he did that, we will never know why he decided to do that. Was it because the Wizards looked respectable and they had a young guy in John Wall and they had a bright future? Was it because he knew that was a giant deal? Or was it just because he loves Washington? There's a big part of this that I think some people might be forgetting. I think that Bradley Beal really is just a loyal person. Do I think he'll get traded? Yes, I do think he will be traded at some point. But I think he signed that 2-year extension in a benefit to the team, not necessarily to himself. And you might be like, why? If he wants out, why would that be a benefit? If Beal had left after that 5-year deal, if he just left after this year, the Wizards get nothing. No trades. They just wasted Beal's 5 years. Now that he has signed that extension, he's locked up for the next 3 years with the Wizards. The Wizards, if need be, if they talk to Bradley in closed doors behind the curtain and are like, I'm sorry, man, you've done everything you can, and Bradley's like, I know, I need to be traded, they can do that. It's not a win-lose, it's a win-win. Obviously, they'll be losing Bradley Beal, one of the best scorers in the NBA, averaging 30 points per game, a certified stud. but they won't be getting nothing. He won't just be walking away. He will be leaving them something for their future. They can trade him away for pieces, just like Harden did. I think Harden came about it in a really backwards way by shouting and screaming, "I want out," press conferences, talking to teammates, not showing up to practice on time, all of that. That's another day. Bradley Beal, I think, obviously we don't know, but my personal opinion is that he loves Washington as a city. He's been involved with charity work his entire career. So is every NBA star, but again, he's lived there for the past 6, 7, 8 years. He's been there for a long time. It's his home. He lives there. That's where his family is. He is doing this, in my opinion, just so he can help the Wizards organization. I think he will be traded at the end of this season. I think he'll play it through, maybe possibly before the trade deadline, especially if the Wizards are full set on tanking. They are 3-10 at this time. And honestly, I thought most people thought that this team would be better than 3-10. Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, they've had a lot of unfortunate injuries. Thomas Bryant out for the season. Hachimura missed a lot of games due to an eye issue. Not everything's been going to plan for this team, and I think Beal, on one hand, hates that he's losing. Obviously, he might want out, but I think he loves Washington, and he's keeping that to himself, and he's saying, "I'm going to wait it out. I think I can get through this season and hopefully respectively leave this organization with something instead of just leaving for nothing." So that is my take on the Bradley Beal situation. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything to say, if you want to talk about anything, any comments, please do that in the comments section below. I love to interact with anybody in my videos. It's something fun to do, and I do love to have discussions. I know I'm talking to a camera right now. There's not a lot of feedback, but I love to talk and have not an argument per se. I just like to discuss basketball, football, any sort of sports. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.